Welcome to another episode of the Black Eskimo Podcast. I am your host, David B.Dacosta. Yeah, this is kind of out of the blue. Once again, you kind of get this interesting inspiration. But I was listening to the Breakfast Club earlier, where Mr. Charlamagne-Tha-God was talking about this idea of Black Men Don't Cheat Day. So Charlamagne was talking about this idea of Black Men Don't Cheat, which is really ridiculous because black men cheat just as much as white men and Chinese men and Indian men and Arab men and men of all walks of life across the planet. But anyway, I definitely thought I'd weigh in on the topic or the issue because I found it pretty interesting. And I mean, he's mentioned it before. It's not the first time he's mentioned it, but he is definitely doubling down on it and trying to, I guess, push it out there. Charlamagne-Tha-God, a real character. I mean, I've been listening to the Breakfast Club for it's been about 5-6 years now. You know, I tune in periodically. It really depends on who they have on in the way of interviews. I don't actually listen to the live broadcast, but I do watch the YouTube videos. But Charlamagne's here talking about Black Men Don't Cheat Day. I mean, that's the equivalent to saying men don't cheat, which is really a crock of you know what. But women cheat as well. I mean, I've known quite a few women who cheat. So, I mean, clearly he's just looking to get some attention and be comical in the process. But I don't know. It's I think it's a very different thing for men. And I can speak about it in general terms. I mean, obviously I've known various men in my lifetime, growing up, from my teens, childhood teens, 20s, and beyond. And the cheating thing it's tricky. You know, I once had the conversation with a woman. I was interviewing a woman for a documentary I was working on last year, and I was saying to her that I truly don't believe that hormonally that men and women function the same way. I think I'm sorry, I just don't believe that we were built the same way. We're not wired the same way as men and women. I think men, heterosexual men, I think have a much stronger compulsion to be with women. I think they're drawn in a more potent and magnetic way to women than the other way around. I think women are definitely heterosexual women are definitely attracted to men, but they have a more subdued. I think they're more subdued, not just because women are going to tell you, oh, it's self-control. Men lack control. I don't think that's what it is. I think women just don't feel that level of impulse, that level of attraction, that level of urgency, we'll say. I don't think they feel it. I really don't think women feel that. And so this idea that we're the same, but women have a greater sense of discipline and self-control, I don't agree with that. I completely disagree with that. But obviously when you talk to women, they'll tell you, no, you're a man, you don't understand what we feel. If the feelings were mutual, hormonally speaking, between men and women, I think you would definitely see more women doing the kind of things that men do in terms of the rampant cheating, the crossing the line, being too touchy-feely. I think you would get that. There are women who do that, and there are definitely women who are wild, we'll say, out there, but I cannot draw a parallel between what women are doing and what men are doing, and vice versa. It's just not the same thing. But very interesting with Charlamagne. Charlamagne's a joker. You can't take Charlamagne seriously. Charlamagne is definitely the comic relief on the Breakfast Club. That's just his thing, and I'm not mad at him for that. But this idea, black men don't cheat, is really, it's kind of silly, to be honest with you, because he talks about, when I say he, I mean Charlamagne, he talks about the idea that he did cheat and that his wife cheated on him. I don't think they were married at the time, but he talks about how long they've known each other for. I think they've known each other since high school, if not mistaken. And he talks about the fact that he used to cheat, and he didn't say he cheated once or twice. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 times. And he talks about the fact that his now wife cheated on him as well, and they managed to kind of work through their differences and stick together, which is a good thing. But the cheating thing, I'm not here endorsing infidelity. I'm not saying that men should be let off the hook for cheating. But it has to be understood that cheating is just part of the game, and it goes back centuries and millennia. It's not a new thing. It's not a new concept. And I think men, like I said, I think men were just hardwired a different way. I don't cheat, and that doesn't make me a saint. I'm still a human being. I'm fallible. I definitely mess up in other areas. But I don't cheat because it's like, why cheat when you don't even have to be in a relationship? You can choose to be single. You can choose to date freely and be honest about what you're doing. But the idea of committing, I think once you make that commitment to someone and you don't hold up your end of the bargain, I can't support that. I can't support that. I don't think that's cool. I think you really have to be honest about it. Be honest about it, and just like I said, I think at a certain point, maybe when you're younger, maybe when you're a teenager, but as you become an adult, as you get into your 20s and 30s and beyond, I think by then you should know your limitations. You should know what you're capable of doing. You should know whether or not you are a monogamous person. And I think once you realize that you aren't, then you shouldn't bother with relationship. You shouldn't bother with commitment. You should be in an open relationship. Or at the bare minimum, you should let that woman know that if she wants to be with you, heterosexual man, heterosexual woman, you should let that woman know that you cannot be faithful. I think that's really what it comes down to. I think committed relationships require that. Now, don't get me wrong. There are women out there who accept their men cheating. They do. They'll tell you that he is a good guy, he treats them well, he loves them, but he has this fault, being infidelity. It's complicated, though. I think this idea of fidelity and temptation, it's a tug of war. It really is. I think it's very difficult for a lot of men, and it's going to sound like a cop-out, sound like I'm defending. I'm not defending anyone who cheats, whether male or female. I'm just saying as a man, women are beautiful. Women are beautiful. They're very tempting, especially at this time of year. Obviously the world climate changes from country to country, but in the summertime, I know for me here in the Greater Toronto area, in the summertime is when you are really tested to the greatest extent, because there's so many beautiful women out there, and women start to dress in less, and they carry themselves in a lot freer way. So it's one of those things where it's complicated. It's really complicated. But ultimately, I think, as I said before, I think it's one of those things where you have to decide. I think you figure it out as you get older. You decide, and not even decide, you realize through your hormonal makeup whether or not you can maintain fidelity, whether or not you can remain faithful to your partner. And I think there are a lot of men out there who sometimes it's a question, not even a question of whether or not they're aware. I think what happens is they are with women who really, they may give them a bit of heck, they curse them out and then take them back. And if a woman does it enough times, then you kind of figure that, okay, I guess this is how it's going to be. I guess she really doesn't have that deep of an issue with it. Whereas there are some women, if you cheat on them one time, they're gone. And they're not looking back at you. But then also, it becomes a lot more complicated when you bring marriage into the fold, when you bring assets into the fold, when you bring children into the fold. So, and then your age. There are people who can have a lot. It's a lot easier for certain women to leave you when they're younger, when they're 20 something. And then also it's the duration of the relationship. So how long have they been with that person for? And I think the longer a woman has committed herself to a man, doesn't mean that she won't leave, but she may not leave right away. But this idea that black men don't cheat is really ridiculous, because, black men cheat, white men cheat, Chinese men cheat, Arab men cheat, Indian men cheat, all kinds of men cheat. Latino men cheat. It is what it is. But I know that clearly Charlamagne is not being serious. I think he's definitely speaking to the fact that, from what he says anyway, he's been faithful. He's been faithful for how many years, I don't know. I know in the case of DJ Envy came out and he did it on the air. I think he was talking to his wife on air, or at least he discussed the issue where he had stepped out on his wife. And I know that him and his wife have been together since high school. I think they've been married for about 18 years now. So they go back. I think they have about 5 kids together. So it's one of those things where, I remember hearing DJ Envy's wife talk. I think her name is Gia. I remember Gia talking about that she had seriously contemplated divorcing Envy. And, I'm glad that she reconsidered, because I think from what I see, they look like they have a good thing. They've been together since high school. They've been married like 18 years, 5 kids. And from what I understand, and from what Envy talks about, he takes care of her. He makes good money. And I'm not saying that that's the be all end all. I'm not saying that a woman should stay with a man because he takes care of her. But that definitely helps his case. I'm sure it helped his case. I'm sure. Even though I'm sure that if she divorced him, she'd sue him for probably half his money. I listened to the interview this morning with Samuel L. Jackson. I think Angela Yee had made the point that, she kind of reiterated the point that people have made for years, is that they say a man is only as faithful as his options. But then they went on to say that it's not just celebrity or athletes or people with money. It's everyday average people. It's managers, store managers. It's all kinds of people who come in contact. You could say customer service reps who come in contact with a number of people on any given day. Those are options. And if you're a person, because ultimately I think the options are dependent on you as a person. If you have a certain personality, if you have an engaging or charismatic personality, you absolutely have the capacity to attract people of the opposite sex, provided you're a heterosexual person. And so this idea of, you don't have to be famous, you don't have to be rich. If you have a personality that is engaging, as I said, or charismatic, you can absolutely reel in members of the opposite sex as a heterosexual person. So this idea that, you're only as faithful as your options, I guess that's true to an extent, but I think for some people there is definitely a deficiency in their ability to be faithful, to be monogamous. I think so. It may sound like a cop-out, like I said, but I really don't. I don't believe that everyone has the same makeup. I think there's some men and some women who have a lot harder time being faithful to their partners. But it is what it is. I find it interesting, though, this idea of being faithful, not cheating. But Charlamagne and his Black Men Don't Cheat movement is humorous, at the least.